I'll be right back. I gotta go cry in the parking lot. Parking lot tears. My name is Lehua. I was born in Jigo, Guam. Many of you probably know it as the island of Guam in the South Pacific. And I moved when I was about 4.5 to a very rural town in western North Carolina. And it is a place that still is not very demographically diverse. So needless to say, I stood out there for many reasons. I get asked some about how Guam shows up in my writing, and this book in particular is more about the quote mainland. So not a lot of these poems take place on the actual island of Guam, but Guam is in every poem, right? It's in everything that I write. So I'm going to share with you first a poem that's about a Chamorro creation story. And the story is that our world was created by siblings, which I think is just a really beautiful story of creation. So 2 siblings, Puntan and Fu'una, existed in the void. And together they decided to create the world and to create the people in it. And Fu'una decided that she would use her brother's body that he sacrificed to create the world. So one eye became the sun. She plucked another eye from her brother and it became the moon. His long flowing black hair became the dark sea. And she shaped the islands of Guahan and other islands in the archipelago from his spine and the rest of his body. So the world was created, but there's no people. So Fu'una walks into the sea and crouches down and turns herself into a large stone. And as the waves break over her, over the years, the rocks erode from the stone and they become the people of Guahan. This is called Shore Song. Our people were shaped from stone and the pulsing sea. Sister's crouched body, wave-kneaded, salt-lapped, until we tumbled from her, of them, all strong, strong, and whole together. Birds regarded our seafoam anklets, our slippery ropes of hair, our cheeks full of pebbles, and scattered from the shore, singing. We opened our new mouths to our own chorus, crooning, sister, brother. We are sun, moon, sky, water, earth, all siblings. And then I'll read one more poem that is about a sibling of mine, my brother. And for a lot of islanders and indigenous people living in diaspora all over the world, but in the United States, we end up being very far flung even from each other, our immediate families. And this is a time where I was living in Montana, Missoula, Montana, going to graduate school. And my brother, who's 15 years older than me, decided to come see me on his Harley in November. So he rode his Harley across the country, basically, during several blizzards to come see me. So this is for him. His name is David, but we call him Brody, which means he's not very smart. Okay. Create a sibling, a counterpart to your shale-flaked centerself, a blood-bound projection to visit you upon the lonely scree. There's a time when I was really into long titles. That's one of these times. My brother says he is not a writer. This means he writes for no one but himself, then burns the pages with a kitchen match. Sometimes he writes for me. This is a lie. One time he wrote for me. The last blizzard he stretched to me astride 2 wheels laden with burro bundles, blankets, and jerky. There's wind in South Dakota, he said, lots of it. Then he said, Badlands, they should name it Davidlands now. When he limped to my doorstep, Montana November was glassed in like sleep. He uncurled a lined notebook, belly warm. I read with stomach sight. Press, closed, clicking sap on a pine limb. Felt my head on a pole with the moon in the river. Starless eyes cast like dye. My heart tapped the glass. Our cadence, I said, yours and mine. He fashioned his arms just so and said, if you'll remember, I used to cradle you for 60 spins around the clock face, a single minute less, and you'd whimper awake.